Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Welcome back to another edition of Saints TV Weekly. Another week, another Saints TV Weekly. Let's get into the news. Alright, so again, some good news to kick off the week, same as last week. This one, again, was related to Jack Steele. There was some big All-Australian news last week. Him being announced in the squad on the bench. Two-time All-Australian now. And he's now been voted the AFL Players Association Robert Rowe's most courageous player in the competition. So he polled 186 votes, well ahead of the runner-up Tom Doedee from Adelaide, 118 votes, and podium finishes Liam Baker, to become the first Saint to take out the Player Voted Award since it was first introduced in 1991. So, to be honest, I'm actually surprised that he's the first Saint to be awarded this accolade. You'd think, like Lenny Hayes or Aaron Hamill, even Nick Riewoldt, most courageous, you'd think that those guys would be voted in there and a chance to win it. But Jack Steele is the first Saint to win that award. In terms of his stats, he averaged a career-best 29 disposals, 14 contested possessions, which is elite, 8 tackles, 6 clearances throughout season 2021, all of which were ranked elite, according to AFL stats, and he topped the Saints in all key statistical metrics while simultaneously shouldering the many responsibilities as co-captain and not really co-captain, he was captain. Jaron Geary wasn't out there. He had the full responsibility of the squad every week. And so for him to get rewarded with this was great. I actually thought he was a cheeky chance of getting the best captain award, even MVP. But I think in terms of MVP, he was voted in the top 5 or 6, I believe. But he was voted most courageous. And if anyone's missed the footage off the front bar of his interview, with the guys on the front bar, I highly recommend going to YouTube. An account has actually posted it, and it's really good. Steele is great. He's always great in interviews, but they do poke a bit of fun at him, but he takes it on the chin and has a bit of a laugh. So if you got some spare 5-10 minutes after this video, go and search that on YouTube because I highly recommend it. It's good viewing. So that's the first piece of good news of the week. The other one was I guess, not one that I was looking at to find, but it happened anyway, and I got a lot of people sending me links to it, and it's in relation to former Giants assistant becoming Saints' new fitness boss. So, a couple of Saints TV weeklies ago, we talked about the coaches being let go, and we talked about Aaron Hamill, the fitness coaches, Hornsby, all those guys, they were let go. Whether it was their calling or the club's calling, we don't know really, but what we do know is that we've got a replacement as a new fitness boss, and his name is Nick Walsh. So, Nick Walsh was at the GWS Giants. He'd been there for a little bit. He's worked his way up the ranks. He continued to develop internally at the Giants as a defensive coach and was with the club until 2018, having been in the coaching, welfare, strength and conditioning positions. And more recently, Nick Walsh had been involved with the AFL Coaches Association, leading the Tackle Your Feelings program with the coaches at all levels on understanding and recognizing mental health issues. So he's basically, he's very talented, he's very well respected, which is a very good sign. And he looks like a guy that's not going to take any shit. If you've got a photo of him, I might put it up here in the video. But he looks like a guy that's a born winner, and he's going to hopefully get the best of our squad, physically and mentally, which I think is a great combination. When you think about it, he's going to be a fitness boss, but he's had history dealing with mental health issues and mental demons, and I don't think that can be undersold. I think a lot of coaches in certain aspects of the club, whether it's fitness or it's defensive coach or it's attacking midfield, whatever, that's really all they focus on, and they don't focus on the above the shoulders and how that can affect performance overall. And the fact that he's got that on his CV, I think is huge. I think that would have played a big part in why he's gotten this gig over a lot of other people, and why maybe we looked out to find if he was interested in the role, because football's a complicated game. Yes, it's very physical, and he's got that side. He's the fitness coach. He's a fitness boss. But when things aren't going your way, and there's a voice in your head telling you give up, or you can't do that next rep, or you can't run that extra K, you can't go for that extra tackle, it looks like he's got a few tricks in his bag that can help the boys mentally and physically. So I think that's a great appointment. I'm really excited about that. And hopefully it brings the best moving into 2022. So Nick Walsh, new St Kilda fitness boss, welcome to the club, mate. All the best. Now for some down news, but before we do that, I've got to have a sip of coffee, because when you've got down news, you got to have a sip of coffee. It's like a warm, milky cuddle. So without further ado, let's just get a bit of a coffee here. Yeah, there we go. There's that warm cuddle. Nice. All right, so for some down news, not really the best news to start the week, but St Kilda has ruled out a play for Luke Parker from Sydney. So in last week's hot topic on Saints TV Weekly, as well as in the feeds, on the page, in the comments on Big Footy, everywhere, was Luke Parker and Sydney's salary cap struggles and what they're going to do with him. He wants 4 years. 4-year deal worth around $700 per season, which is something that Sydney aren't really in a position to offer him at the moment. From my understanding, they've got a lot of young players and a lot of decent, to A-grade players that are going to demand some more money. And Luke Parker's turning 29 in a month, and although he's captain and he did just win their best and fairest, can't forget that, they're struggling to fit him into the salary cap. So either he's going to have to take some less money over the next couple of years, take a smaller deal, or he's going to have to find another club. And a lot of people thought, why couldn't St Kilda be that other club? And I was one of them, and I still believe, why would we rule ourselves out this early? You just want to see where the cards fall, because if no club comes along, or a club comes along and offers Parker money that he's not willing to take, and we can come in at the last minute and swoop, I see that as a win. Even though he's 29, I think he's a very good player. He's a best and fairest winner for Sydney, who just made finals and were very good this year. So I still think, like Steele, he is heavily underrated in the competition. But if you had him at your club, you'd be very happy. So I'm a bit upset that it looks like we've ruled out Parker. And the logic behind that is money going elsewhere. So we're negotiating deals for Steele, for Marshall. King's on some big money now with his new deal coming up. There's going to be other players that are going to want some more money, and deservedly so, because they're going to be growing internally, and we're going to have to keep an eye out for that, and not turn into the next Collingwood, where we put all our eggs into one basket, a Luke Parker basket, and then we don't have money to go around for everyone else. So the club believes that internally, that's where they're going to grow. They don't need to go for Luke Parker, because they believe Gresham will be back. And this is genuinely what they believe. They believe Gresh will come back and play in the midfield. They believe Hunter Clark can come back and play in the midfield full-time. And also, Ryan Burns goes through there. Maybe Leo Connolly. Steele continues Crouch. They must believe that one of Luke Dunstan or Seb Ross will stick around. But obviously Dunstan's gone, delisted, supposedly still not announced by the club. Can the club please announce delistings? I feel like this year would have been very clear-cut based on what we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, and the players that are out of contract and players that deserve maybe one more year. So I feel like the club's just holding on to this for some reason. I'd love for them to announce it so we all know what the hell's going on with the list. But nonetheless, Dunstan's gone. So you think Seb Ross would re-sign, but that kind of leads me to my next point, and that is Seb Ross. Tom Morris reported, I believe yesterday, that Ross was weighing up his future, and that was because he was offered a 2-year offer that includes a trigger for a third from the club that he has felt a bit underwhelmed by. So I think Ross wants guaranteed 3 years or more, but the club's willing to offer him 2 plus a third. So I don't know what the money value to that deal is, but I would have thought that Seb Ross, based on his performances, based on everything that's been going on with him and the news surrounding him, whether he stays at the club or not, 2 years plus a trigger would be pretty stable. That takes him, I think that would take him into his 30s, and by that point, maybe we've won a flag, or we've turned into a team that's challenging for finals consistently, and maybe then with that trigger, he might be willing to take a pay cut and get on with his career and stay at the club for some more success. So I can understand why he's weighing up his options, but at the same time, his 2 years plus a third is still pretty good. You're guaranteed 2 years on decent money at a club that hopefully will be challenging in a year or two. But he's considering it. Apparently, there's not a lot of demand for Seb, so that's the other thing you got to take into account, is that no clubs are really looking for a player like Seb. We thought maybe Gold Coast would be interested because they want that mature body, someone that's established and just has that 20 disposals and doesn't, he's not the most skilled player, doesn't have a huge, X factor about him, but he's consistent, he does the job, and some teams just need those players on the list to get the job done, and he could do that. But apparently the interest for Seb Ross is pretty limited, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I feel like he will take the 2 years for a trigger for a 3, and then maybe after 2 years, that's up to him if he thinks he can move on to another club. But you think Seb Ross would have most value now and not in 2 years' time when he's probably getting towards the latter part of his career. Now we're on to Jack Billings. So Jack Billings, again, reported yesterday from Tom Morris that he's weighing up signing a 4-year contract extension from the Saints on reduced money to his current contract, naming Port Adelaide as a potential suitor if he decided to test the market. So Port have come out, and there are rumours circulating that they are keeping an eye on this, and there were rumours that maybe a Hawthorn would too, because Hawthorn are looking to offload, I think, a couple of players, including a Brownlow medalist, and maybe there would be room for maybe a Jack Billings, and you'd think with their kicking game plan that Clarkson loves, and obviously Mitchell will carry on with, that Jack Billings would be a player that they'd like. He's only 26, he's got value. We know that his best years are still probably ahead of him, obviously, at 26, but they're leaning towards him signing a 4-year deal, which could be announced in the next couple of weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Seb Ross, he's got 2 years, offered for a 3rd, underwhelmed by it, looking around, but not a lot of clubs interested in him at the moment, which might force him into a corner and he might have to sign on less money and on 2-year deal. And then Jack Billings, interest from Port Adelaide, but there is a 4-year deal on the table, reduced money based on his current contract. It may not be that much reduced, but it's still reduced. Could probably be like, 500 to probably 500 on 4 years, which is still a decent amount of money. That's a good $2 million over 4 years. So any person would be interested in that sort of money for 2 years. I know I would definitely take that. But yeah, 4-year deal for Jack Billings, and that's with him to decide. And then from there, we haven't had any other news on any other players. Obviously, more news will come out in the next few weeks with the delistings, and we'll be able to talk about that hopefully next week and the week after on Saints TV Weekly. Now for I've actually got some Saints TV news. So this is Saints TV Weekly. We talk about St Kilda news all the time, but I do have some Saints TV news. So let's discuss that. So I mentioned it on my Insta stories. I posted it on Facebook. It's kind of done the rounds, but just to give you guys full transparency, some Sainers have reached out over the last couple of months, have basically said, Jakey, we love what you do, mate. Have you ever thought of starting a Patreon account or some sort of YouTube subscription where, we can donate some money because we love what you do and we feel like you deserve it and we want to be able to contribute to the growth of the channel? And I thought, firstly, amazing. Like that's incredibly generous. Didn't expect people to be wanting to do that, to give away some of their hard-earned cash in a time like this with COVID and lockdown and job insecurity and all that stuff going on, that people are still willing to contribute to the channel. So firstly, to everyone that has donated so far, I am very grateful and very thankful to have you supporting the channel. I feel very lucky and I love doing this and giving you all of this content. But to the news, so as I alluded to, people have donated, and that's through a page that I've set up. So I'm not doing a Patreon account at this point. I haven't really looked into any of those things, but I thought if people want to donate $1, $2, $5, $10, or nothing, absolutely no pressure to donate. I have set up a Saints TV support page on the website, and I will post a link in the bio of this video or during this video or something for you to go to. And basically, it's just a payment gateway. You can click a button, pick the amount that you want to donate, and basically that'll go to running of the channel, to all the costs for things that I pay for on a monthly basis, and hopefully to some growth opportunities, maybe getting some guests on the podcast, maybe getting some guests on Saints TV Weekly, and just overall just growing the channel. And in a way, it's really exciting because it's not only me trying to grow the channel, but it's all of you that are willing to donate and support the channel, and we can all come together in it. When I first created this channel in 2018, I did build it just so Sainters could get involved and Sainters could help me grow it. And at this point, I guess that's what's happening. You know, Saners are willing to put up their hand and say, hey, Jakey, I want to donate $50. Some people have donated, 20, 50, 100 so far, which is incredible. And like, we're growing it together. So it's really exciting. And I think, 2021 overall was a struggle in terms of the club, and at times for me mentally to get up for games, and with COVID and everything going on, lockdown, not seeing family and friends for so long. To have you guys watching and supporting and commenting and donating now is amazing, and I could never have pictured, in my wildest dreams, that from when I created this channel in my bedroom in 2018, just rushed it, quickly made a logo, put it up, and then on my way to my parents, I recorded my first ever preview. It wasn't live, it was recorded, and from there, everything just evolved. Is amazing. So I wanted to end the video on that. I think it's a really positive thing, and it's full credit to all of you that have messaged and have donated and supported the channel, not only by donating, but also by watching these videos, by commenting, subscribing, listening to the podcast, buying merch, all of that stuff. It's amazing. So I just wanted to end the video on that, guys. So I'll leave it there. That is Saints TV Weekly for another week. A bit of a quiet one. There was some good news and obviously some down news with Luke Parker, but if there's anything else that's reported after this video has gone live, make sure to stay tuned on Saints TV, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, podcast tomorrow. There's a lot of content coming out every day, so you will absolutely be updated during the week outside of Saints TV Weekly. But I'll leave it there, guys. Again, thank you for watching, supporting Saints TV Weekly, supporting the channel overall, and I hope all of you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week on another Saints TV Weekly. Until then, guys, go you mighty Sainers.